Miniatures, dragons. Don't you like dragons? I know I like dragons. And today's video is all about showing you a whole lot of flying miniatures or flying dragons, or dragons that are flying. One of those anyway. So while we're waiting for my sound to come through, okay, there it is. Sound is coming through, which is good. So if you're re-watching this video for the very first time, you will find, well, not the very first time, but if you're watching this video and not part of the live stream, you'll find the start times down there in the description, so go check it out. Normally what I do is I present everything first in my live streams and then I open it up to questions, but you're welcome to chat along. I will probably keep an eye on the chat box as we go anyway. Okay, so let's ditch that and get started because the sound is good. And hopefully people don't have too much trouble jumping into the room. And we'll show you what we've got. I have a few surprises, by the way, so I thought I would just start. I'm not going to tell you what it is just yet. Anyway, let's go. Hi, welcome to HowtoDandD. My name is Fred Wheeler, and today I want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, but more I want to show you some of my Dungeons and Dragons miniatures. And as it happens, it's Dungeons and Dragons, so we're going to do with dragons. I have a whole bunch of dragons that fly that I thought I would show you. Some I have purchased, some I was given, some have been made for me, so it's a collection of all sorts of different pieces. Most of them are icons of the realms, for those of you who are wondering, but not all of them. Okay, let's start off with the very first one. And that is, I thought I would start with one that I was given as part of a gift from some of the players who were playing at my table who thought that I was doing a really good job of dungeon mastering. Now this is a Dracolich. I don't know if, I know a lot of people look at it and think Dracolich or is it zombie dragon, but it's supposed to be a Dracolich as far as I can tell. I know that's what most of my friends were saying it was supposed to be. I give it a bit of a turn so you can see. The Dracolich is essentially the dragon who has gone through the process or ritual required to make them everlasting. Usually they don't perform it when they are really, really young, but they don't usually perform it when they're really, really old. It might take place sort of near the end of their life where they are sort of desperately trying to hang on to whatever spark of life they have. So that is the Dracolich that I have that's flying. I also have a rather large white dragon which Amel from Vagabond Games gave me, anticipating that I would be running. Now I do apologise for it's white. It's white on white, so it's kind of a bit hard to see. I totally understand that. If I flick off the lights that might help, then it'll mess up everything. So hopefully as I turn it slowly you'll be able to pick up the details. So this is a white dragon. It's supposed to be an adult white dragon, although I think some of the miniatures that Icons of the Realms put out they look more like an adult dragon, but they were supposed to be sort of an ancient dragon, and I don't think I'm terribly convinced that they were always an ancient dragon of any kind, because it didn't feel like they were big enough, particularly the ones that were flying. Well, that's my view anyway. So this is the dragon that Amel, I had to thank him because I didn't have to pay anything for it, gave to me so I could run. I believe it was the last encounter of Horde of the Dragon Queen where they face a white dragon. For those of you who are just been spoiled by Horde of the Dragon Queen, I do apologise, sorry about that. Okay, so next on our list of dragon miniatures, we get some small ones. This is supposed to be a copper dragon. And I'm just going to swing him around a little bit so you can see. If you're going to have a dragon and incorporate it in your game, it should always be flying, but the miniature doesn't need to be flying. I like the idea of a miniature on a pole to indicate that it is flying, because that's where a dragon should be. But some of these prongs, none have actually broken on me, but the concept behind the prong itself, it's really hard to store a dragon that's in flight. That's what I've found anyway. So that's the copper. I've got here, oops, sorry about that. I've got here a bronze dragon. Just chuck that on there. So this is my bronze dragon. Each one has sort of slightly different position. different facial expression, different structure to them. You know, every dragon sort of is made up slightly differently, which is, well, that's what you want, right? If you're going to have different types of dragons, they should look slightly different, and different pose, and sort of almost a different demeanor when you look at the different miniatures, based off the type of dragon they are. Here we go. There's the bronze. Get you out of the way. I've also got a. This is supposed to be, no, that's also supposed to be a bronze dragon, which doesn't look bronze at all. I'm not even going to bother putting that out. That's a waste of your time. But I do have a gold dragon. The gold dragon looks very sort of Asian or Chinese. Certainly the face, I feel like it's sort of taken a lot of design features from the art that you see of dragons from the Orient. And along the tail, a bit more curled, and also sort of got that old man beard look, or the tendrils or tentacle sort of effect. Certainly looks very sort of Asian in design. And there's my gold dragon. Alright, we'll get rid of Mr. Gold Dragon, put Gold Dragon out of the way. We have a silver dragon, yes it is, because it's silver. There we go, one silver dragon. I'll just flip that round so you can have a good look. Here we go, just like that. Wings outspread, tail to the side. Looks like it's angry. There's two different families of dragon, right? There's the good dragons and the bad dragons, or the evil dragons. And I know what a lot of you are thinking is, Fred, you're showing us flying dragons, but do you have some of the larger dragons? Well, we'll see. We'll see if I produce them at the end, so that probably means I will. That is that one, and I also have a green dragon. This is... Green dragons always seem to look far more aggressive. This one looks like it's more ready to land on somebody and squash them flat, or at least put out its talons and pick them up and then drop them somewhere really, really painful. Or maybe just to chew on them as it's flying away, squashing them with the talons. I like the idea of picking up my player's characters with a dragon, flying off, having a bit of a gnaw or a munch on them, and while I'm munching and gnawing, find an appropriate place as I fly higher and higher in the up into the air, and before I drop them, and then go down and pick up a different player character and do the same thing again, or by then hopefully the breath weapon's all charged up and we can breathe some sort of toxic nastiness. Green dragons always poison breath, right? But fire is good. Lightning is good. Anything that gives you a nice big cone is great. I think lines are sort of a bit of a drag if you ask me. So those are the bulk of my flying dragons. I also have, and I have been saving it, and I thought I would show you. I don't even know if it's going to show up because it's a white miniature. This is the Pegasus, the flying horse. It's just whiting out really, isn't it? Too much light, too much white. It's blending in. And we'll just spin it round. Okay, so now what about larger flying dragons? I have some larger flying dragons, but I'm going to hide the scene for a second while I remove things. You're going to hear all sorts of strange noise. Ta-da! I'm just going to make everything disappear for a second. Don't freak out. I'm not gone. All I'm doing is moving things around because I need significantly more space to make this work. And I'm just moving my platform. There's no way I can show this to you on a platform that spins. And we will grab some of the larger dragons that I have. I have here a brass dragon. For those of you who want to see a flying brass dragon, I do actually have one. I'm going to have to hold it up. I don't know how well that's going to work, and I'm struggling to make it all work in terms of moving the mouse around and holding it in position, but we'll see how we go. Here we go. Alright, let's try it now. And flicking over. There we go. There it is. One brass dragon. I used this as a red dragon in my Isle of Dread campaign, where I I had one living underneath the island, and the players decided they would go and check it out, and to be fair, I think they just aggravated the situation and annoyed the dragon, and so therefore I breathed fire on them many times. But this is not what this dragon does. I just decided it was close enough to a red dragon and I'll use that instead. For those of you who are wondering, do I have the colossal dragon, red dragon? No, I don't have the colossal red dragon. I do have this one though. Okay, so that's that one. I'm going to move this one out of the way and bring in the next one. And it's just flying away. There we go. So years ago, my brother did a lot of painting, and he was right into Warhammer, and he was painting all sorts of miniatures, and he gave me and painted up this particular miniature. I think I've shown it to people before. I believe there's a video on it somewhere. And this is a red dragon with its tail wound around a tree root or branch. I think it's basically part of a tree. This is a Warhammer miniature, Games Workshop. And this is supposed to be a red dragon, and it's pretty impressive. It's really fragile, so I can't really transport it anywhere. So if my game takes place in Helensville, where I live, great. But usually I don't pull it out. I think I've only pulled it out for a game once, and that was when they were coming to my place for the game. So yes, there it is. And it's flying away as well. Yeah. Last one. The last one I've shown off before, but since I'm doing flying dragons, I've got to include, here we go, it's the big mother. It's, now I don't have Bahamut, is it Bahamut? Did I say Bahamut? No. I don't have that particular miniature, but I do have Tamat. And somebody's probably going to say, Fred, you've just pronounced it incorrectly. I can't count the number of people who have given me like comments about how I should pronounce a particular miniature name. It's weird, but obviously it's very important to them. I've done a video on this as well, but I thought I'd at least show it off because we're talking about flying dragons, and this is definitely the mother of all flying dragons in terms of miniatures. I wouldn't say it's the best miniature that I've ever seen. I can think of a couple of others that I've seen that I liked the look of far more. I just don't have them. That's the only thing. So there it is. Tamat, the mother of all dragons, the queen of dragons. We'll just move her back there and just tilt her just a little bit so you can sort of see what's going on. So look, hopefully you enjoyed this or found it entertaining, or I don't know, just killed a bit of time. That's always good too. If you did, please share and like the video. If you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing to my channel. And make sure to hit the bell button to be notified when I go live or when I publish new videos. Oops, there goes a miniature down on the floor. Now, if you want to support me, by watching this video, you supported me. And by watching more of my videos, you will also support me, and I do appreciate that. Thank you very much. On top of that, I just want to say I don't plan to do Patreon, but you can buy stuff from my affiliate links down in the description from Amazon and the book depository. I get a small commission, you pay exactly the same price. And then essentially that helps support me doing more videos, which I will certainly do. Now, if you are part of the live stream, hang about because I will talk to you. And if you're not part of the live stream, that's what the comments section's all about. You can just go down in the comment section, type what you want. If it's worth my while to responding to, great. But tell me in the comments or even in the live stream, what is your favorite dragon? What is the most favorite dragon you have ever seen or done any sort of research on? I know Dungeon Masters do research on dragons. That's always going to happen. Okay. Alright, so that's pretty much it. And hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s. Well, I'm not gone. I just need a drink of water. So, for those of you who are still here and part of the live chat, and are willing to sit through and watch the very end of my live stream, I have a surprise. because I went down to the post shop to pick up what I thought was going to be the continuation of me live streaming on Twitch TV, because I do live stream on Twitch TV when I had the gear. So I've had to try and replace all the stuff that got stolen. And I've replaced most of it. Not all of it, but certainly a good portion of it. On top of that, I had made some arrangements with some of the suppliers of Dungeons & Dragons products. And so therefore, I was waiting on those things to show up. Now, give me a second. I'm just going to grab them. I'm going to give you a quick sort of a preview of what is to come. Okay, alright, I've got the stuff. I'm going to flick it back onto the camera, and I'm going to flick it also back onto the chat box so you can see. For those of you who decided to hang about, it's a little bit like Marvel, isn't it? Sometimes when you hang about, you might get to see a bit more. So normally I did all of my Twitch streaming off a phone. I just used a phone, and I put it on a tripod. Now that tripod was really helpful to me because it allowed me to do a whole lot of stuff and be a bit more sort of portable. Now it's taken me months to be able to replace this particular tripod. Now to go with this tripod I needed a clip, and in fact really difficult to get that in New Zealand. You just can't buy them. Not easily, you have to buy them online, and it's quite difficult to get stuff to New Zealand without paying huge amounts of freight. Hence, this is what I've got. My clip for my cell phone, which means when I go back to playing Dungeons & Dragons, which should be this weekend coming up, I'm going to be able to live stream on Twitch TV some of the combat. Now I was Twitch streaming the whole thing, which I think is just a waste of time. I think it's a waste of your time. But if we have a combat, you get to see that particular part of the combat as I'm running through playing my character, and some of the nonsense that takes place at my table. It will include a lot of adult language, so if you are a child and underage, do not show up and watch it, because I can't put it on YouTube. They would just shut me down. So hence, we've got that. But that is not the only thing that showed up in the mail. As I said, a whole lot of other things showed up, and one of them is this baby. This is the Xanathar. This is the Xanathar miniature, the Collector's Series Xanathar miniature, and I'm going to unbox it next weekend. Just so you know, it's coming. It did show up. I wasn't actually making up stories or anything like that. It does actually exist. On top of that, I've got two other products that showed up in the mail, and I have to say thank you to Gale Force 9 or Battlefront. Gareth is awesome. He also sent me this product. Now, the lights are probably going to cause a whole lot of problems, so I'm going to flick the lights off so you don't have too much reflection taking place, and you'll be able to see what it is. Now, you saw something that looked like a lich, right? It looked like the image of a lich. This is a DM screen. Which DM screen do you think that is? Kind of looks familiar. This DM screen is for Dungeon of the Mad Mage, and I'm going to be doing a review of this particular Dungeon Master screen next weekend. So expect that's coming. Seriously guys, you're going to get to see it live, so it's coming. Not the only thing that showed up. This is what I love about live, because then you can sort of show people a whole lot of extra things. You do the Marvel thing, right? You run the credits and then you think it's all over, but there's more. There is in fact a lot more. You know, I do a lot of painting and crafting. Yes, guess what this is? They sent me this particular kit, and it's got a whole lot of paints in it. Lots of people have done reviews on this already, but that's not really the biggest reason I wanted to get it. Is one, because it has this miniature in it, and I'm going to paint it live. We're going to put it together live. We're going to paint it together over the coming months. So that's all going to happen, including Xanathar. That's going to get the treatment as well. So for those of you who thought you weren't going to see anything particularly interesting on my channel, I always like to try to surprise you, and I'm hoping this has surprised you. And if it hasn't, I'm just not doing a good enough job, am I? So let's have a quick chat in the chat box before I have to go and get organised for a job interview. Smash Bro 99, how's it going? It's been a while, hasn't it? Turn the DM screen around. The darker colours will show the dragon better. Yes, you're probably right in terms of the white dragon. I just couldn't see, I can't really move things around too much. What I will try to do is, all of this is an aid to try to figure out what's the best way to present things. But if I'm shifting screens around in the middle of a video, it's as it is, it's kind of messy. But hi, how's it going? Steve, hi, how's it going, Steve? Emerald Akbar. It's a trap, Emerald. But you already knew that, didn't you? It blends into the D and DM screen. Yes, I know the white dragon does tend to blend in. I can certainly, if you like, I can probably, if I do a bit of fiddling around, the problem is the camera focus is set up and set so it doesn't readjust itself, so that it's going to work best under certain conditions. And therefore, if I flip things around and change things too much, it's going to mess things up. But I'll do it if you like. There we go, I've flipped it round. As you can see, it's probably not helped an awful lot. If anything, it's probably made it really confusing as to what's going on. And then if I chuck the white dragon on, you may still find it difficult to see the white dragon as I flip it round and turn it. I'll just have to unlock this thing. It has a lock on it apparently, just to make sure that I don't, there we go. Is it going to stay still? No, it's going to roll around. There you go. There's the white dragon, for those of you who wanted to see a better view and wanted me to turn the Dungeon Master screen around. But if I'd used the Dungeon Master screen that way around for some of the other dragons, they would have blended in, particularly the Dracolich, which is red and black, and some of the other miniatures, which is why I didn't use that particular background for it. I'm going to do a lot of testing over the week as it is. You're going to see a lot of miniatures, just to make sure that I've got all of my setup correct for what I need to do. Okay, right, so there's the white dragon for those of you who wanted to get a better view with the screen around. I'll pull out the Pegasus because it's white as well. It didn't really sort of show up that well. It's still going to be difficult because the turntable itself is white, and therefore because the turntable is white, then you're dealing with a white miniature. It all tends to blend in. I can't be changing the colour of the turntable every time I put a different miniature on it. Okay, alright, so we've covered that. We've done the turn the screen around so you can get a better look. Admiral Akbar, what do you got here? The tentacles near the mouth of the catfish are called bargles. So it might be the game with dragons. The game with dragons? Really? I suppose that's possible. That's the gold dragon you're talking about, right? I'm assuming that's what you're talking about because it's the only one that's sort of got tentacle-y bits on it. Emerald, what do you got here? I would like to see your collection of giants, if you have a collection, of course. I have a huge number of giants, Akbar. I have many of them. So if you want to see them sometime, I can certainly do that. That's not a problem. I don't know that I'll do it this week because I already have stuff planned for this week, and I've already got my weekend planned as it is. So yeah, bear with me. I will proceed to try and show you off that sort of stuff. I've still got to do a whole lot of other videos, but as I said, I've been a bit tied up with stuff, trying to prepare for job interviews and so forth. Tarmac looks very cool. Yes, very cool. I've used it only once, at the very end of Rise of Tiamat, or Tarmac. Tarmac, who cares? It's a big dragon with lots of heads on it. Long shot, got a thumbs up. Excellent, thank you very much. Hi Joe. I can't say that word. Holy C-R-A-P. I just brought a phone mount last night. Should be here tomorrow. Yes. Well, good. That's good news. You know, phone mounts are really difficult to get in New Zealand. They just really are. Antonio, what do you got here? Are you going to paint the Collector's Mini? Yes. Antonio, we're going to paint the Collector's. I'm going to put it together live on the channel, and then once that's done, we're going to paint it. I might have to wait a few months before I can actually paint, because the humidity here is now about 85 to 90%, and the temperature is ranging between, depending on how long I'm in this room, it can range from 28 degrees, 32 degrees, and go as high, in the worst case scenario, as 40 degrees. With that kind of humidity, paint don't dry. All it does is go tacky. So it's going to happen eventually. What's that, Akbar? I think that there are already 2 Xanatha Minis already. Yes, there are. Steve? Yes, Xanatha. Xanatha is coming. Don't you worry. It's waiting. Just next weekend, I'll put the preview times, and set the times up so you can see when they're going to take place. Yes, it's going to be very cool, I hope. Joe, what do you got here? I just ordered that too. Should be here Tuesday. Laugh out loud. Would like the same stuff, Fred. You would like the same stuff? Okay, I got it. Understand. It's going to happen. That's why I asked for the paint set in the first place. So that, because I know you guys show up for the painting, and I know you show up for the crafting, and we still got to make some monsters and creatures, not just assemble somebody else's. So that's all going to happen as well. Antonio, what's this? That's a great paint set. You'll love it. Yeah, well, I think I probably will. I do have a few paints. A Vallejo, I've got quite a few Vallejo, but these are Army Painter paints, so we'll get into it. You're going to paint the Beholder? Yes. And the Owlbear live stream? Of course I am. I've already said that. Yep, we've covered all that. Yeah, it's a bad joke, isn't it, Emerald? Akbar. And Admiral Akbar. I just couldn't help myself. Your name just sort of begs it. Not trying to be nasty or anything. It's a dumb joke, I know. Put a human model so we can get a scope of the scale. You want a human miniature beside... Which miniature are we talking about? There are so many. I guess scale makes sense. So if I'm going to show you big miniatures, you want something beside it as I'm turning it to give you an idea of scale. Okay, that's actually not a bad point. I will think about that when I do larger miniatures and I'm showing stuff off, that I need to get a sort of a human-sized miniature and put them beside there. What's that, Akbar? Sorry, I meant same, not game. Okay, same, not game. Alright, okay, that's fine. Long shot. Good luck with the interview. Thank you very much. I really do hope I get it. I certainly hope they're not planning to pay out a really low rate. That's the only thing that concerns me. What's that, Antonio? Do you have a preference for the WizKids Minis, Pathfinder versus D&D? I find the D&D are slightly more on the heroic scale, larger heads, arms, feet, weapons, and Pathfinder seems to be more true scale. I don't actually find that to be the case. I do actually like more of my Pathfinder miniatures than my D&D miniatures. But the only reason is that some of the sort of humanoids are a little bit better. I just feel like the sculpts are a little bit better. But also the plastic, the problem is the plastic is a little bit harder, which means you're going to get more detail compared to the D&D miniatures. And the D&D miniatures tend to be a bit softer, so you get less detail, but they're more durable. So they both have their good side and bad side. So let's grab a, while I've still got just enough time before I go and have a shower, I'll go grab a small human miniature to put beside the dragons, eh? That ought to do it. So part of this is testing my sound. Last time I had my screen set up in a different location, which made it significantly more difficult to actually keep the sound quality in a reasonable state, because there's too much stuff, too much sound bouncing off flat surfaces. So what I've done is I've set it up in such a way that you can sort of see roughly what's going on, and I'm not impeding that, but I've put the screen in a different location, and I think that's hopefully going to work a lot better. So that is the gold dragon, and where is the Pegasus? There's the Pegasus, for those of you who wanted to see the Pegasus as well. We'll flip that round. Next weekend is going to be a really good weekend. There's going to be so many reviews of products that I think are going to be just awesome. And I'm hoping that will continue right through 2019. It's a big ask for a company to send anything to New Zealand. It's just the sheer distance they have to send it. It's quite costly. And Gale Force 9 sent their stuff by email. If they'd sent it by boat, it might not have even made it here. There's a good chance that pirates would have just stolen the boat and they would have never seen the product whatsoever. And WizKids is trying to send their stuff through a distribution centre. Now, to give you an idea, nothing that's Dungeons and Dragons related actually gets imported into New Zealand. It's much like, it's too small, like many countries around the world. So what happens is, when anything gets sent to New Zealand, it gets sent to Australia. And then Australia gets a lot of orders from New Zealand asking for product, and therefore they try to make their order bigger because they're trying to supply not only Australia, but New Zealand as well, which is why it winds up being like that. So yes, for those of you who are thinking, oh, New Zealand gets a good deal, it's because everything comes through the Oz, because it's coming through our Australian buddies. Otherwise, we wouldn't see a lot of these products. They just wouldn't show up, just because we're simply too small. But yeah, so we're flicking that round. So yes, that is those miniatures. I don't really want to try and put the big mothers on, because I've got to move too much around to make that work. That's sort of too hard, and I'm almost out of time. In fact, I should be on my bike getting my shower sorted out before I have to truck off. I will put up an edited version of this video for those of you who are hoping that I will, so you don't have to watch the live stream. But I will cut out all of the fun things out of the live stream. So if you don't watch the live stream, you don't get to know about what's coming. That's sort of the deal, right? I kind of think that's reasonably fair. Okay, so that is it. We're going to finish there. And thank you for everybody who showed up. You guys have a good night, a good day, good evening. Look after yourself, look after your families. Don't get up to mischief. And I will catch up with you next weekend. Actually, I'm probably going to do a couple more of these Dungeons and Dragons miniature showcases during the week, just to test everything out so I can see what's going on with the footage. As you can see, that this particular monster or dragon is blending into the background, which is why I went with the other one. But yes, you'll see a few more videos, just dependent on how many jobs come through that I really want. Anyway, I'll see you later.